Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. Up again, off again, down again, up again, over again. It's just one thing, then something else. Just back and forth. I feel like my life is a tennis match right now. Just getting bounced around back and forth. I'm not in any real pain right now because of the medicine. I might be a little bit goofy, but no, not really. I don't feel like the medicine really has a whole lot of effect on me other than it does seem to block out the pain. Man, it's crazy. The results of the CAT scan said that the stone is 4 millimeters, which is kind of an average medium size stone, I guess, by standards. It's definitely passable, they say, 4 millimeters, although I thought maybe 3 millimeters was passable and maybe 4 wasn't, is kind of the way I was thinking, but apparently it's already passed most of the way through my between the kidney and the bladder. It has to go down that tube, and that tube varies in length depending on the person, but apparently I've only got about another half inch to go. So a half inch more and it should be free and clear. And I finally found a good doctor. This doctor, this urologist, his name is, you know me names. I wrote it down here. Kazmarek. Kazmarek is his name. And you can just, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm a really good judge of a person's ability and character. Well, I mean, I had to hire lots of people working for me at Bell, and I always felt like I was very good at picking good people. And, call it a brag or call it whatever you want, but I just have this instinct, it feels like, when I know a person's a good person, is going to do the job and knows what they're talking about, etc., and so forth. Well, instantly, when you start talking to this guy, you just know he knows his stuff. I mean, it's just black and white, obvious. Most of these doctors in this area, pretty much every one I've been to, it's more like they use the throw it against the wall and see what sticks technique. That's pretty much their technique. This guy, he's more like a laser cutter. He knows exactly what he's doing and where it's going and everything about it. You can just tell. It's just obvious as heck. I don't know how I've missed this guy in 25 years of being down here, but I'm sure glad I found him. Oh my gosh. Well, other people told me that he is definitely the best. And for sure, in terms of this kidney stone thing, I think he is. I really do. He said he looked at my results he's in private practice. He's not associated to the Phelps County, which is pretty much the main thing around here. Everybody's connected to Phelps County Medical Center. But the ironic thing is, it's really ironic, I think, is that he is the board chairman for Phelps County Medical Center. He's not associated with them in terms of he doesn't work for them. He works for himself. He's not on their staff, but he is their board chairman. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, I told him about my experiences at the emergency room. How I sat there for an hour and 20 minutes just in agonizing pain while other people were cheery talking on their cell phones getting served in front of me. And I had made it very clear to the triage nurse how much pain I was in. And she just acted like, oh, it's a kidney stone, And so I sat there for an hour and 20 while everybody else was getting worked on. Anyway, I let him know about all that. And so hopefully there'll be something come of that, because he seems like the kind of guy that will take action. He really does. So I'm just real glad I found this guy. He said that if it were him, he would let it pass. He says it will pass probably within the next week. He says you don't have to get too worried about kidney stones till about 3 weeks in. He says assuming there's like 3 things. He says if you don't have fever, if you're not in real strong pain, or if you can control the pain, he says, and I forget what else. There was something else. And he says, if those three things are good, if it's not, I guess, creating other problems like blood pressure or something like that. He says if those three things are good, he says you can go 3 weeks, no problem. And he says if I were you, I would let this go ahead and pass. He says I think it'll pass. And I think he's right, because I didn't figure it was that far down. I figured it was probably still up in the kidney, not getting down into the tube, But he said, no, it's way down in the tube. He says it's almost at the bladder. So anyway, and he showed me on a picture where it was. So he definitely knows his stuff. I am 100% convinced that at least I finally found somebody that knows something around here. And I was glad to find him too, trust me. And in fact, he says, and he made another prescription for me too to help with this. And he said, now if you get to hurting bad, he says, if something happens, he says, don't even bother making an appointment. Just come to the door. We'll let you right in. He says, don't worry about it. So he's that kind of guy. You can tell he takes action and he does what he says he's going to do. You can just tell. So I was so glad to find him. All right, moving on. Killed that one to death. Let's see. Since we last talked, I think, I put out 2 different videos. I put one out on that brush hog repair. And the main thing about that was, of course, I needed to put out a video showing that welder. I like that welder a lot. It's, I'm sure it's a more expensive welder than the other ones that I've been getting. I don't know what it costs retail. I didn't look it up. I probably should do these things. I just don't bother. I don't have time, seems like. But anyway, it's a very nice welder. It really is. So if you're looking for a good welder, I don't think you could go wrong with that thing. And I haven't used it in the MIG wire feed setup yet, but I will be doing that before long, and I'll probably put out another video, and I'll more or less feature it. I've met my obligation. I don't have to push it anymore, but I probably will, show it off on the next video whenever I use it again. The car charger plastic welding video, I put that out, I think, yesterday. In fact, I did that a day or so ago, and when I'm on these pain medicines, I don't really have a lot of pain, so therefore I can do some work. The reason I didn't have the vlog yesterday was because I let the pain medicine lapse Sunday, thinking maybe, because I hadn't been having any pain, so I thought, well, maybe the stone has passed. You don't have any way to know, and maybe it's passed on through. Well, it hadn't, and the pain was so horrendous that it took about 7-8 hours for the pain to die down. And by the time, the vlog was getting close, the pain still was partially there. So I decided it's just not worth it. I'm going to skip the vlog again because I was not feeling real good yesterday. But right now I'm feeling pretty much fine. I can still feel a little something here, but it ain't nothing like it was. Here's a little short video clip I took on the 4th just because I could, and thought I might as well just show it to you. It's July 4th in the evening, and there are just dozens and dozens of martins flying around. I think the babies have hatched. I think they're flying. I have not checked, inspected, but I think they are because there's so many of them. And of course it's late in the evening now and they're about to roost. But there are just tons of them. You can see them off in the distance flying that you can't really see on camera. I think they'll be leaving in a few days. I have a feeling within a week or 2 at the most they'll be gone. Yeah, they don't hang around very long. Those martins, they're here, I don't know, anywhere from March to end of July, and that's about it. One year, though, they didn't even show up till July, and they raised their babies really fast, and they were out of here before the end of August. It was crazy how fast that one year they did that. But most of the time, they come a lot earlier, and they're just about ready to take off. And the only negative of that is that the horseflies are going to start being much more prevalent. We've had quite a few horseflies this year, surprisingly, but not as bad as they're going to get here real soon. Let's see. The next thing. The AC guys were out again yesterday. I really do like those guys. Again, of the skilled tradesmen around here and stuff, they're probably the next best thing that I found in terms of people that can actually do what they say they do. These AC guys are pretty good. Unfortunately, I feel like I got a lemon unit on this end of the house. Now, the other end of the house, they replaced it also, and it's worked fine and never had a problem with it. And they fixed the one down in my shop that I was having trouble with. They didn't install it, but they fixed it, and it's been working fine. So I think they're good guys. They mean well, but I felt like I got a pretty raw deal on this new one on this end of the house. I spent a lot of money on the thing, and then they've charged me a couple of times to come back out and fix it, And they charged me labor. They didn't charge me parts, but they charged me labor, and it's expensive. But so this time when it went down this last time, let me back up the truck a little bit and say that the last time they were here and charged it, they put an order in for a new coil for this under warranty, because they said that coil's leaking, and they put stop leak in it and stuff, and it lasted longer. At least it lasted a couple of weeks this time. Well, anyway, they came out yesterday, put the new coil in, and did all the work, recharged, did all that, and didn't charge me anything for it this time. So I feel like maybe, knock on wood, maybe we got it fixed this time. I hope so. Golly, it's been a pain in the neck. It's just expensive as heck to do this stuff. It's crazy. The big system like that. I think it's a 5-ton unit. We got 2 5-ton units, and on this big house. It surprisingly though, it's still fairly cheap to cool this place. It really is. It's just the expense of the actual equipment. The next thing. Well, while I was in town today after visiting the urologist, I stopped by Grandpa's toy store, picked up a few little items, and I wouldn't normally show you this, but I figured since I just bought it and the vlog's right here and I don't have a lot of material anyway because of being not feeling so good, I thought I'd show you some of the things I picked up today. I picked up a couple of these, and you might say, what in the world is that? It says caulk saver. Well, it's just a little spiral tube that you could screw into the end of a caulk thing. They're like $1.50 or something a piece. I thought, I need something like that because I'm always, taping the ends of those caulk tubes and trying to keep them, or if they have a cap, I put the cap on them. But you know how that is. You lose the darn cap, and half the time, if you have to cut it off more, the cap won't fit it anyway. So I thought, well, this might be cool to try that. I don't know if they're any good or not, but for $1.50, it's worth trying. This is something I do need all the time. I'm always needing plugs to plug lines and holes and things to keep them from leaking when I'm working on stuff, especially hydraulics. And I do have an actual hydraulic plug set, by the way, but there's a lot of times when there's just some kind of a rubber line or something that you're working with, like on that lawn tractor, there was lots of rubber lines in addition that weren't high pressure, and you need to cram something in the end of those lines. Well, these are different kinds. Some of these are external, like this would go over a line, and then these smaller ones like this would go inside the line, just as an example. So it's just a various and a sundry bunch of different kinds of plugs. Again, they were cheap. For me, it was worth just to have it on the shelf whenever I need something plugged. Now I know where to go to get it, I mean, I have a few old ones laying around, but it was nice to have a big variety now. Something that it was just because I walked by it and it was sitting on the shelf, on the clearance shelf, I picked up. But then I got to thinking there's several things I could use this for. And you might say, well, what in the world do you need a vacuum pump for? Well, I do have that big vacuum pump that company sent me for vacuum pressing wooden parts together, like when I'm gluing laminate necks and things like that together, and it works great. It's a vacuum, and this is basically the same thing. It vacuums, it throws a vacuum on something, so you could use it for that. This is only $6. I think it actually hooks up to an air compressor, and I think it's the Venturi effect that causes the vacuum on this. I don't know. I haven't looked at the directions or anything yet. But like I said, it was only $6 sitting on the clearance rack, and I thought it was worth it. But where I think I'll be using it, well, the main purpose of something like this is like you saw the video where I fixed that dehumidifier with the charging it with Freon. Or I call it Freon, it's 134A or something, but you know what I'm talking about. It's a refrigerant. Well, that's what this is for. You suck those lines out first and get all the moisture and contaminants that are in the lines. You suck them out first with a tool like this, and then you charge them with clean Freon or clean refrigerant. So anyway, for $6, I thought, I can use it. But you know what I'm thinking I'll use it for is actually for whenever I'm casting with epoxy. And I have a small project where I want to cast a chess piece, an old chess piece that's from the chess set that I had when I was a kid. It's missing one piece. And I'm thinking this would be cool. I could draw a vacuum on that epoxy, and that'll get rid of all the air bubbles and stuff, So that'd be kind of cool. Try that. There's another thing that I use quite a bit lately. I just bought them today, but if I'd have had them, I would have used them a lot lately. This is for pulling those plastic tabs, like on four-wheelers especially. There's all kinds of the plastic bodies, or you have these little push-button tabs. You push them in, and it rivets it together. Well, this is for pulling those rivets back out, those plastic rivets. That's what it's for. They had a good rating on them. I looked up the rating to see if people like them or not, and it was a 4-star rating, or 4.5 stars actually on both of these. So I thought, well, they're cheap. They were less than $10 a piece, and I'm doing that stuff all the time, and I'm fighting with screwdrivers and pliers and everything trying to pull them out. Might as well have the right tool. And the last thing I bought was this for that new welder. That's the one negative of most welders you buy off the shelf, even pretty good ones. A lot of times they come with crummy ground clamps. The ground clamps are kind of chintzy, like they're just stamped sheet metal for the most part. Well, this is solid brass, heavy duty. It takes a man to squeeze that. You don't squeeze that easy. It's pretty tight squeeze, and then that makes a better connection on the metal, by the fact that it's a stronger clamp, and the fact that it's solid brass and heavy like this, it won't burn up and melt and all that kind of stuff. So, and this is, I don't know, it's neighborhood of $20, so it's worth it. A good ground makes all the difference in the world on anything electric, for first of all, but especially when you're welding. You want to have a good ground. I think that's everything I was going to cover today. We'll go into the comments and see what's going on there. I've got 156 viewers. Maybe I should lay out more often. You guys are watching out of sympathy. This is my sympathy viewers today. Ronald Todd looks like he was the first one in today. He says, good afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Bank of New Jersey. And then Joe Nigan's in there, wishing everyone a wonderful day. Bill Webb says, good afternoon, Jerry and friends. I hope you're feeling better. Well, as long as I'm on the goofy medicine, I'm, the goofy pill, I'm doing pretty good. I don't really feel like those pills affect me, honestly, other than the fact that they do finally kill the pain. But it takes a while. They don't kill it in 5 minutes. 5-6 hours later, the pain goes away. Whew. Anyway, so that's the problem with testing, is the pain still there. You can't tell when you're on the pain medicine. And so if you let it lapse like I did, then you got to go through 5 hours of number 10 pain, man. I mean, it's crazy, because it don't go away in a hurry. Bill says, did you have to go to the hospital? Well, so far, no. And so far, I don't think I'll have to have the operation to have it removed based on the guy I saw today, Kazmarek. I really do think he knows his stuff. I don't think he's just talking like most of them do. You know, most of them are just talking to hear their own head rattle. You can kind of tell the difference. Plus, he listens to you. When you talk, he just stops and listens to you, which very few doctors do that. They overtalk you or try to switch subjects or something, you know. But he doesn't do that. He's really good at listening to what you got to say. Paul in here. Hi, folks. Hope you get rid of the little rocks. Yeah. From soggy, wet Louisiana. Grass grows 4 inches or more per day. Yeah. Well, it's been growing here pretty well, too, boy. And I meant to call attention to this first thing, but God bless those people in Texas. Man, I tell you, can you even imagine the heartbreak that those parents are going through, you know, losing their children? And it's just horrible, just absolutely horrible. I've been praying for them. It's just terrible what they're going through. And people trying to blame it on this or blame it on that, but it's pretty hard to blame it on anything. You know, when something like that happens, it's just beyond help, really. I mean, you just hope for the best, pray for the best. That's all you can do on something like that. Paul in here. Hi, folks. Hope you get rid of the... Oh, I think I read that one. It's hard for me to keep track. Bill Mumble says, hi, you folks. Hope you're doing better, Jerry. Thank you. B.H. Ringer from Nova Scotia. Don Nice. Good afternoon, everyone, Jerry. No, I missed. Well, thank you. Bo Horn says, good afternoon from Ruston, Louisiana. Okay. Cool. After we went live, David Tharp says, hello, Jerry and friends. So good to see you back. Well, thank you. As far as I know, we'll have a vlog every day from this point on. I mean, unless I let that lapse again where I'm in so much pain I can't. But I don't plan to let it lapse for the next several days. But I hate to stay on the dang medicine if I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever. Wade Hampton says, best wishes for a quick recovery. We worry about you. Well, thank you. He's from Glendale, Arizona, he says. And then David Tharp says, a pirate walked into a bar with a paper towel on his head. What's that paper towel for? Asked the bartender. There be a bounty on me head, said the pirate. You had to go a long way for that one, David. You really did. Let's see. Sadgar Bob, good to see you back. Thank you. Michael 2X, been there with the kidney stones many times, laying in a tub. Very hot water seemed to ease the pain, but the secret to getting mine to pass was getting on the elliptical and exercising. Yeah. Ronald Todd says, Jerry, good to see you back, looking pretty good. I definitely can relate to sitting in waiting rooms forever. VA hospital used to be that way all the time. David Tharp says, why do they call it raw sewage? I never heard anybody saying they were cooking it. Now you got to make me think about that, David. Doggone you anyway. Now I got to think about that all afternoon. Bruce Moore, Jerry, did you tell this doctor about the Rosa maneuver concerning the kidney stones? Yes, I did. And I told a couple other people in the waiting room too. Here's the bottom line on it. I am convinced it works. 100% convinced it works. Not thinking it works. It works. But it only works under certain situations. Stones that would probably pass anyway, it works on. And you might say, well, then what's it doing? Well, it just makes them fast really fast. In other words, like, I think when I really was convinced this worked, I had a stone that had been going on for about an hour. Now, let me back up the truck a little bit more than that. The first one where I tried this maneuver, I had had the stone for about 3 hours, and it was killing me. And I was just looking for any kind of relief because it was killing me. I mean, like they hurt so dang bad. And so I was just trying to find a position. You can't get in a position where they don't hurt. There's nothing you can do. You can stand on your head. You can lay down on the ground, roll over. It don't matter what you do. They hurt. And so I was just trying to find some reasonably comfortable position. So I got down on my knees and spread my hands out like this, my arms out like this, and laid my head down on the couch. So I'm standing on my knees with my head on the couch, and my back was flat to the floor, parallel with the floor. And I'd had this stone for 3 hours, at least that long. And within 10 seconds, it passed. I went, oh my gosh. I mean, you can just tell the moment it passes, it's just instant relief. I mean, it just feels so good. It's just hard to explain. So I didn't think much more about it, I mean, it passed. I didn't necessarily think that the fact that I laid down and did that caused it to pass. I just thought it was coincidental, and it passed. Well, the next time I had a stone was, I don't know, I don't remember how long it was, but I'm going to say it was roughly a month later. Had another stone, and this one had been going on for about an hour. So I got to thinking, well, the last time I got down on the couch like that and it went away instantly. I just wonder, did that have any effect on it? So I did the same thing. 10, 15 seconds later, it goes away. Well, now I try that same technique at least another dozen times over the next year or two. And finally, I decided to put it out on YouTube. And sure enough, people are constantly emailing me and telling me, thank you for telling me about that, So I know it works. Does it work every time? Well, no. I don't think anything works every time. Depending on the size of the stone. Now, like in this case, this stone was just big enough. It's 4 millimeters. So 4 millimeters is, it's bigger than 1/8 of an inch. To give you some perspective. 3 millimeters is almost exactly 1/8 of an inch. 4 millimeters is another 40 thousandths bigger than that, or actually 45 thousandths bigger than that. So, it's getting pretty good sized stone, But on a small stone, I'm convinced, 100% convinced that Rosa maneuver, that I call it, works. And it'll make it pass faster. But if you got a big stone, well, sorry, it ain't going to work for you. That's just all there is to it. It might help it go faster. It might help it go down the tube further like mine is, because I've done that maneuver a bunch of times with this one, and it hasn't made it pass. But just so you know, I am convinced, 100% convinced it works often. Doesn't work every time. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Bill Webb, I watched both videos, the metal welding video and the plastic welding, enjoyed them both. Well, thanks. David Tharp, I understand being a responsible adult, but every day, I mean every single day, seems a little excessive to me. Unfortunately, I think I'm right there with you on that one. Let's see. I lost it. It scrolled. Okay, I found it. GMP Old Marine Shop. Hi, Jerry. Good to see you're coping. You're lucky you don't have one of Rodney Dangerfield's doctors. He had some real characters. Yeah, Rodney Dangerfield. He's so great. He was just so funny. I just love the way his type of humor, Yeah, him. My wife's cooking so bad at my house. We pray after we eat. I asked the cab driver, I said, take me to a good time. He said, take me where I can have a good time. You know what I mean? He goes, yeah. He took me to my house. Anyway, Rodney Dangerfield was pretty funny. Simon Jardine, do you supplement Purple Martin's diet, Jerry? No, not really. I've thought about it a couple of times, but I haven't. It would be good to throw out some mealworms and some. A lot of the Martin, they call them Martin landlords. A lot of the landlords throw scrambled eggs into the air. They take a spoon, like a plastic spoon, put it on there and flip it and throw it up, and the birds fly in the air and grab it. Once you get them used to doing that, they do that a lot. I haven't done that yet, so none of that stuff. And the truth is, I just barely have enough time to say grace over everything I've got to do anyway. So for me, it's just neat to have them, and I kind of let nature take care of the rest of it for the most part. Bill Webb, I emailed you a question on loose binding repair on a Martin guitar. Is there any way to get it back in place without cutting it or heating? I am going to make curved jig to clamp it tight. Well, yeah, I mean, it's fairly common on a lot of especially the Martins through the, late 70s, early 90s, somewhere in there, especially during the 80s. A lot of the wastes are coming loose on the binding on those Martins. I think a lot of it's that newer PVC plastic. It shrinks up. It's not like the old binding. The old binding, that cellulose-based binding, I forget what they call it now. But anyway, that nitrate binding, the old stuff that was really flammable, that stuff didn't do that. It didn't shrink like that. But this more modern PVC type bindings, they do. They shrink bad. And the only way I've been able to cope with it myself is, you can stretch it like that, but I have a feeling it'll shrink back again. I'm pretty sure it will. So to me, the best options are to heat it and stretch it like that. And then that's one good option. It's tricky to heat it, though, without making a mess and hurting something else. You got to be very careful about how you heat it. Or the other option is to just make a slight razor cut in it and then fill it in. And to me, the razor cut and the filling it in is probably your overall best way to do it. The only other option is to take the binding completely off and put all new binding on it. And you could do that, but do you realize, number one, how much work that is? If those of you who are questioning this, I'm not really talking to Bill now, I'm just talking to the general public. Do you realize how much work that would be to take all that binding out? First of all, you're going to create damage. The whole length of that binding, you're going to create damage to the finish and everything else. It's just a nightmare. And then secondly, you got to put it all back, and then you got to repair all the damage. So that's not a good option. You don't. Nobody wants to see their binding cut, but pick your option. Just pick your option. It doesn't matter to me which option you pick. Pick one, and then I'll do it. That's the way I always looked at it. I recommend that you do the easiest option, the one that's least destructive, and often that's cutting the dang binding and putting a filler piece in there. If you do that really well, it's barely noticeable. But you got to do it really well. It's tough to do. G&P Old Marine Shop. Is it hot by you? 95 here, 100 miles from New York City. I haven't really paid much attention today. We've been getting rain showers on and off, and we are going to get rain showers on and off this whole week. Right now it says it's 85. Now, I think before it rained this morning, it was already in the 90s, I think. But it's 85 right now, which with all the rain is just going to mean it's super humid out there. It'll slap you in the face when you walk out the door, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Simon's answering David's thing. It says it's untreated sewage, David. Untreated. Ugh. Let's see. Bill Webb. They won't let me donate blood. I was too close to Chernobyl when all that happened. I was in Turkey on the other side of Mount Ararat. Well, I'll be. I was wondering why you always had that glow about you. Every time I saw you, like you just seen this little halo around you. Let's see. Moving on down. Bruce Ducker said he was in southern Germany when that happened. Wow. Ronald Todd, I tried donating blood today. Never again. Too many stupid questions. Whose blood is it? Where did you get it from? Why is it in a bucket? Ah, that's funny. Yeah, you can go a lot. You can go a lot of places with that one. I'm not going to any of them. Terry Meyer, I bought some caulk tube condoms on Amazon. You get 20 or 30 for $5 to $6. They work great. Okay. Well, I hadn't thought of that. I'll look at that. That's another idea. Yeah, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but for $1.50, I thought, what the heck, I might as well try it. Seems like it might work. Dottie says, praying for you. Thank you very much, Dottie, in the Rosa group. B.H. Ringer says, pain meds are quicker if you chew them. Maybe. I don't know on that. Let's see. It's worth a try next time, honestly, because, man, I paced the floor, let's see, Sunday morning into or Sunday, night into Monday morning. It was like 1 a.m. Till 7. I literally was just pacing the floor, trying to get it to stop. I was trying to maneuver. I was trying everything, laying down, rolling over, trying anything to get it to stop. And this was after I took the pain medicine. It took like 6 hours, almost 7 hours for it to quit. And then I was so drained from all that, that that's why I didn't have the vlog yesterday. Let's see. So maybe I will try chewing it the next time. Let's see. Please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Thank you very much. Please do that. Paul Aker says hello from North Carolina, I guess. And Jeff Pira says, I was a constant kidney stone former for years, bout with prostate cancer and surgery stopped them. That's proof there is upside to almost everything. Well, that's, good and bad, isn't it? By the way, I forgot to mention that this doctor, after he made an appointment for me to come back in 3 weeks. He feels like I'll have passed it by then and it won't be any big deal. But he made an appointment for it to be kind of like in the past, so that he could take analysis, a urine analysis type deal, and figure out what's actually causing them. He says he has the ability, or they have the ability now, or these days, or whatever, to figure out exactly what's causing the stones. And then he says, you can fix it. And I said, okay. Well, so that's what he said. So I'm just going to go with his word, and I'll go back in 3 weeks, and hopefully he'll be able to tell me what's actually causing the stones. I kind of thought maybe it's this well water. I never had stones until we moved to this farm, and I think there's so much mineral in this water. And you already know how weird my system is. It would not surprise me at all that my system isn't filtering that out and just holding it right there. Because it is basically the same kind of material, I think. It's kind of like a limestone. That's what makes those kidney stones. But then again, I may be dreaming. I don't know. Joe says hydrocodone helps a bit for pain. Yep, that's what I'm on. But he also put me on, or he wrote a prescription today for Toradol also. Now, Toradol, in the original first kidney stone I ever had, the one that wouldn't pass and that they actually did have to go in and get out, Toradol was the only thing that killed the pain. I mean, they tried everything on that stone, and that stone was killing me. It was really bad. That's the one I told you I was absolutely suicidal. I couldn't take it anymore. It was 2 weeks of solid 10 pain. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Let's see. Dottie says, I will need a hall pass. Grandson's 18th birthday. Taking him to lunch. Well, Dottie, anytime you want one, you've got one. Let's see. and tell him happy birthday. John Dobrnick, try lemon juice daily. Yeah, I've been drinking that pretty much every day. Let's see. Dottie, thanks, Paul, but... sorry. David Tharp, whoever came up with the spelling for receipt was an idiot. Okay. Bo Horn says, have you tried the new knife sharpener? No, I didn't, Bo, but thank you very kindly for that. I've got it sitting in the kitchen there. In fact, I was waiting for Sue to get home to show it to her. In fact, now that you mention it, I was going to show it on the vlog here today, and I forgot about that. It's sitting in the kitchen in there. But thank you. Very much appreciated. Joe says hydrocodone. Yeah, I think that's what he was. Maybe he was. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Gino Hitch. Hi, Jerry and friends. Got here late. Wife had a doctor's appointment. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you. Simon says, reading the Martin's diet on Google, Jerry, do you notice any difference in the bug mosquito numbers when they arrive and when they leave? Well, the truth is the mosquito thing is mostly a myth. It really is a myth. That was all started back in the, 60s, 70s, somewhere in there, by a guy who built Martin houses up in Griggsville, Illinois. And at least in terms of the United States, and I don't know about anywhere else, and I don't even know if there are purple Martins anywhere else, at least in terms of the United States, Griggsville, Illinois is the self-proclaimed capital of the world capital of the Martin's birds. And that's because that Martin bird house factory is up there. And on the side of his on the side of his factory, it shows the houses they build, those old metal squared off little houses, and it says purple Martins are flying around, and it says eats 2,000 mosquitoes a day. Well, he just made all that up. He really did. That's proven. They know that. It was just all made up. It was all marketing. And he sold a ton of houses, because of it. The truth is they eat flying insects, and they do eat some mosquitoes. There's no question they do. But their main diet is large flying insects, like, for instance, horseflies. They love horseflies. They love dragonflies, which, unfortunately, according to the folklore around here, which I don't know to be true, but I think it is that dragonflies eat mosquitoes also. So there's that. The purple Martins are eating the dragonflies, and the dragonflies are eating the mosquitoes, So anyway, the point is we do see a huge increase in horseflies the moment that the purple Martins leave. Now, some people say, well, that's because it's the time for the horseflies to come out, that's the perfect time of the year. And to some degree, I'd say that they're right on that also. But we have horseflies here pretty much all year round, it seems like. Well, during the normal warm time of the year, And anyway, we notice that the numbers are way down while the Martins are here, and they're way up when they're not here. So that's all I can tell you. Don Nice, Jerry, I heard you screaming, but then I saw a blue jay flying over. Okay. Not sure what that means. Ronald Todd, the goofy pills didn't seem to make you any more goofy than normal. Yeah, well, on that first kidney stone I had when I was in the hospital, I was begging them. I said, give me something for this pain. You got to give me something. And they gave me the strongest. They literally said, this is the strongest stuff we have in the whole hospital. And all it did was make me goofy in the head. That's all it did. I was like, I don't know what it was, like LSD or something. It was crazy like that. It was hallucinogenic, whatever it was. and I was seeing crazy stuff and feeling crazy stuff, but the pain was 100% there. It didn't knock the pain that much. And so it just made it worse because I'm screwed up in the head on top of having the pain. So I didn't want any more of that, whatever that was. But you know how my system is. It's a weird system. I got to tell you, it's weird. So that may have not had that effect on somebody else, but that's the only effect it had on me. It was just made me screwed up in the head. So far, this hydrocodone, the only effect it has on me is it does make me tired, I think. And I can even feel it in my eyes. My eyes are tired. You know, I want to fall asleep with the hydrocodone. And most drugs don't do that to me. Most drugs wire me up and make me want to wake up. Even the drugs that puts everybody else to sleep generally wire me up. But so far, the hydrocodone makes me sleepy, which is a good thing because I don't sleep very much anyway. Let's see. David Tharp, I hope he doesn't tell you in order to prevent kidney stones, you have to eat lots of kale. Well, I made it clear to him. I said, well, I can already tell you right now, Doc, when it comes to the diet, you're looking at a very unique diet. And I told him about my sugar, salt, and preservatives, you know, which is pretty much the truth. And if that's what's causing the kidney stones, well, guess what? I'm not going to be able to get rid of the kidney stones because, I mean, I don't have anything I can knock out of my diet. There's really nothing. Let's see. Simon Jardine, during my SNP operation, they asked if students could watch, thinking they have to learn somewhere. I agreed, so there I am, naked from the waist down, about 15 students staring, embarrassed. You bet. I can imagine that. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Let's see. Wade Hampton. Jerry, I had my right shoulder replaced for the 5th time 3 weeks ago. Wow. I'm still in a lot of pain and taking painkillers. I try my best to keep on top of the pain or I'm in trouble. Yeah, I would think so on something like that especially. Well, I can tell you for sure on this kidney stone, as long as I stay on the pain meds, it's not a problem. But the moment I go off of them, oh my gosh, it's just hard to explain it. Joe, Gabapentin and oxycodone is scary. I'm pretty sure they had me on oxycodone, something like that. I think it was oxycodone, actually. And I know they tried morphine or something like that on me. And they tried a bunch of things on me up at the hospital, and none of it worked. I mean, didn't work at all. The only thing that worked, even then, was Toradol. And once they got me back on the Toradol, it at least eased it enough where I wasn't screaming in pain. Simon Jardine, after a very serious motorbike accident, I became very good friends with Kokomoto. I don't know how to say that exactly. I don't ride anymore. Coco Amador. Coco Demal. I don't know if that's a real thing or if this is a joke or something, and I'm just not saying it, just not getting it. But anyway, I know there's a lot of issues with some of those medicines, that's for sure. Done nice. Jerry, your dressy pink shirt, pink, I guess it's supposed to be pink shirt, is great. Well, thank you. David Tharp, kale is so versatile, it can literally fit into any size trash can. I would say I wouldn't waste it. There's no way I would waste it. I would put it in the compost pile and grow potatoes with it. I think you're being very, not considering the environment at all there, David. I think, you're not being a good steward of the land. So don't waste it. Put it in the compost pile. Let's see. Ronald says, glad you're back. Don't forget your meds, man. No kidding. Gary Hayden, morphine made me think weirdly when I had a kidney stone. No more. Yeah, morphine was nasty stuff. I don't remember all the different things. It was too many years ago now, and I don't remember all the details, but I just know there was a couple of those drugs. They didn't do nothing but just screw up my head. That's all they did. Simon Jardine, it's not a joke, Jerry. It's a very powerful painkiller here in the UK. Okay, well, I understand. I don't think I've ever heard of that one. Cocodamol. Don't know. Never heard of it. Joe says yes, mind-altering drugs. Boy, that's for sure. And maybe it's because I was on so much pain, but on the other side of that coin, I got to say, at least my experience, why the heck would you ever want to do that to yourself? I mean, there was nothing pleasurable about any of that. Maybe if you're not in pain, it's pleasurable. I don't see how it could be. It just seems stupid to me. I mean, like the whole thing just seems so dang stupid. I couldn't wait for it to wear off. It was driving me crazy. I can't imagine somebody doing that recreationally. Yet they do. You just got to wonder what's messed up about people. I don't even know how to explain all that. That's just, I rest my case. Thank you all for being here. We will see you tomorrow with something else. Hopefully it'll be something good. Take care.